Sleeping hard, waking slow. Sleeping hard, waking slow. Wake up, wake up. In a dream you were saying you love me. I said we're in love, but that's a different thing. And all can see the heart, not some that comes apart so easily. Something for eternity. Sleeping hard, waking slow. Sleeping hard, waking slow. Sleeping hard, waking slow. Wake up, wake up. Jumped over a pebble 'cause it looked like a mountain. I followed a turtle to its hole, had a shovel and plow. Sun breaking through. How hard can it get between me and you? Sleeping hard, waking slow. Sleeping hard, waking slow. Sleeping hard, waking slow. Wake up, wake up. Sleeping hard, waking slow. Wake up, wake up.
Welcome to Big Blend Radio. I'm Lisa, your host. Normally Nancy's with me, and she's in her geek tank. Everybody knows Nancy, is the other half of the mother-daughter crazy publishing team here at Big Blend, and she's always swimming around in her geek tank. That's her job. But you just heard Sleeping Hard, Waking Slow from the brand new and rockin' road trip worthy album. It's going to make you want to go on a road trip, and if you go on a road trip, you need to get it. It's called Other Desert Cities. It's by Bay Station, and check them out at baystationband.com. And apparently they went from the ocean to the desert to record this and write up all the material. It's excellent, and we're really excited because the co-founder of the band is with us right now, Deborah Crooks. Welcome, Deborah. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it is awesome to chat with you. And listening to this album, it's an immediate thing. We're always on the look for really good road trip music that tells stories, has visuals in your mind, that it gets you takes you into places that, stories, personally or friends and family, those stories that are so important. But there's something like a travel element to your album that I think is really interesting, and apparently you did a little travel to write it.
That's true. It's exactly correct. We wrote most of it in the Joshua Tree area because we go down there and write for like weeks at a time, and then during that time when we were writing this album, we also did a cross country tour, and so a few of the songs. Especially Everybody's Business, I would say, is a lot about driving across, especially the Southwest, because we were touring through Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. So I'm glad that came through.
Yeah, I know. It felt like it, and you did have there was just nuances of places that I, can identify with. Nancy and I we both lived up in the Joshua Tree area. And we are based here in Tucson, Arizona, and we are on a, lifelong quest to visit every national park unit. We cover it in our nationalparktraveling.com website and Parks and Travel magazine that you're going to be featured in. And, I know that travelers are always looking for road trip music. There's something about that. That's part of going on a road trip to go see a park. And I love when you have that there's a coexistence between the human and the animal element and the desert element and the natural element, where there's a coexistence in there no matter what the human is going through. Because the humans are going through stuff in this album.
This is true. And the song you just played, Sleeping Hard, Waking Slow, I think that's one of the ones we most tried to have it from a different perspective. And we were in Joshua Tree when we wrote that. So it's, as you know, full of coyotes and desert tortoise and bighorn sheep.
Cool.
And so even though a lot of those aren't named specifically, that we were definitely influenced by the landscape and the creatures of the desert.
Oh, man, and the desert's a trip. Now, I know that you're Alameda, California is where you're based out of, near Oakland. And before we went live here, you got me to look at a map and take a look at exactly where you were. And it's interesting because Nancy and I were, at one point on our quest with parks, we were on the road for 3 years nonstop. And Point Reyes and Muir Woods National Monument, which includes the beach, we covered that area. And then we were going to okay, let's hop over to Richmond and, that area, because there's so many national park units. You have actually John Muir National Historic Site. His actual farm is there in your region, I should say, not too far from you.
Yeah.
Then there's Port Chicago Naval Magazine, which is a national memorial. And you also have Rosie the Riveter National Park unit there, as well as you've got Rosie the Riveter, and there's one more. Oh, Eugene O'Neill. It's a National Historic Site. So a lot of history where you are, but you're on an island. So you wave to Oakland, right, from where you live?
Basically, and Alameda has lots of history. No national parks yet, but at the turn of the last century, they had a big amusement park here, and they called it the Coney Island of the West. And then there was a naval base for years here. So it's gone through a lot of transitions, and then there's a little beach, and there's a bird sanctuary, and it's more regional park at this point. But we're close, of course, to Golden Gate Headlands, and then you mentioned Muir Woods, which is a favorite place. And I like to say it's like the equal and opposite of the desert, because it's the one thing we don't have here. We don't have the desert. We don't have those craggy rocks and cactus, So
it's different, but number one, the cactus, to me, they're like coral. We feel like we're in an ancient seabed, which we are. I mean, you can find shark teeth and stuff, and wherever we're hiking, we're like, dude, this is underwater. I don't care what anyone says. And when a snake comes out, you're like, dinosaur alert. Even the roadrunners said dinosaurs. So it's kind of trippy, and your area to me is so beautiful, and a lot of my friends from that area come down to the desert just for that complete difference, because it is night and day. When we go up to your area and it's so green and there's water and and it's chilly compared, we're like, this is you really start to hug trees. You get a little dilly, it's like get silly about it because it's intoxicating to us desert dwellers. But coming out to Joshua Tree, what sparked that and to go in as an actual writing retreat?
Well, I think exactly for probably why you chose to live in the desert. I mean, there's something, and what like I said, I think there's just something that I mean, we're definitely not the first people who have fallen in love with the desert, and short of living there, we just found going down there for a week or two at a time. I mean, I've been going there for years. So when I was in college, I had climber friends, and I think it just works on you. That the vistas are different than anything. It's got this kind of ingrained meditative kind of vibe, and I think the heat, the considerations about the environment require you to pay attention in a different way.
Snakes?
I don't know. Snakes. I've been fortunate.
You think about them a lot. We hang out with snakes out here quite a bit. So I was like, I cracked up because I think you had snakes in both, 2 songs in the album. I heard snake. I'm like, okay, so did they see snakes or what? Did you encounter a snake? We did not encounter a snake, but that was the thing what people will tell you, and when you go and spend time in the desert, don't leave your doors open and watch out when you're backing up that you don't hit a turtle or a snake. So,
that those were. I think we saw some snakes actually when we were in Arizona on that tour. I think we feel like we saw some king snakes, but I haven't seen snakes when I've been in Joshua Tree. I've seen lots of lizards, like the Gila monsters and there's another kind I can't remember.
Oh,
what they're
that's cool. You saw
yeah.
Gila. You saw the Gila monsters out. That's cool. They're a trip.
Yeah.
They're crazy. And those chuckwallas, and those are interesting.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one time, it was during the day. I think we were about to do a show. This is back when we lived in the Joshua Tree area. We lived in 29 Palms. It's the northern entrance to Joshua Tree. So we're right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also open to the Mojave, a national preserve. But anyway, Nancy's working away and looks up, and there's this huge chuckwalla. Like there's a shadow that, comes over the window. And she's like, what the hell, man? She looks out, and there's this huge chuckwalla stuck on her window. And it was the coolest, biggest, dinosaur.
Yeah, they're trippy. I remember hiking and seeing a lot of those, and they're definitely considerable.
Yeah, I know, right? But there's something magical, I think, that's creative. Like there's open skies, and there's also heightened awareness when you're hiking around in places like this. To be very, very aware. I remember Point Reyes even being like that, with all the wildflowers were out in bloom. It was actually in March. I can't remember what year, but it was about 2 or 3 years ago, I should say. And it was incredible in spring. I mean, there were wildflowers popping, wild iris, and then all the seals, the elephant seals were in, and breeding and carrying on. And it was just like there's this heightened awareness. And I feel like your album has that, and yet this freedom of what nature does. Like, the desert, you have to be aware because you could put your hand on a scorpion when you lean back by accident or something like that. However, there's this incredible freedom of these big, wide open skies and sunrises and sunsets, and it's a magical, incredible place. So I feel like your album has this. It's road trip music. It's got incredible rhythm, incredible melodies. You get it immediately, but you've got these stories, and to me that is what the desert is. That there's this freedom, and travel does that. There's a freedom to your music.
Thank you. Should we hear another song, or?
You want everyone to hear one? Okay, so what we had thought was Fire Song. So tell us about that, because this one's a little bit. To me, a little calmer, a little more intimate.
Yeah, well, this was inspired by a story I read. There's a publication that comes out of Joshua Tree called the Desert Oracle. It's like a quarterly publication. It's super cool. If you like stories, pick up your Desert Oracle. And there was an article about a fire in Marfa, Texas. And I thought that we were writing. Every day just getting up and writing songs. I'm like, that's a really interesting idea. So I kind of wrote from the imagined perspective of someone who'd been through that fire. And so it's a little more universal in the end, but it was directly inspired by this article I read in the Desert Oracle. So
wow,
definitely. And then there's been a lot of fires in California this year. So I wrote it before all the fires, but just knowing people who've been through having to start over. So it's really about that, like going through something, a disaster, and how do you recover? So
exactly. No, I know. We've been through them personally in
right.
California. We've been through some of them, but I was gonna say, have you been to Marfa ever? Just since you've been traveling around the Southwest, I had to ask that.
We missed it, but we were so close,
oh.
And I'm hoping to get there next. Hopefully, we're going to do another tour of that length next year, and hopefully get back there. So
cool,
I've heard great
cool.
things
You got
about
to keep
it.
us posted.
Yeah.
We've been through real quick. We were on our way from Tucson to Lake Charles, Louisiana, and we took a detour. Which is always good to do when you're going that far. But it was crazy. Like the West Texas is incredible terrain, but they have like a Prada store in the middle of nowhere off the side of the road. It's like a little exhibit of shoes. Like, it's crazy. But they're all into the radio out there is all about UFOs and everything, and I think that's really neat that you picked this up in a story and, the Desert Oracle in Joshua Tree, because there's a connection between the two places that you just have to do them both, and then you'll know what I mean, and that's that.
Okay.
But here it is.
Good to know.
This place, I know, there is a definite connection there. And also, the sky, right? You've got the desert night skies.
Right.
Did you experience that at night with all the twinkly stars?
Yeah.
I mean, real night sky, like real. It's definite. It's real. But everybody, here it is, Fire Song, and again, it's off of the album Other Desert Cities by Base Station. You can go to basestationband.com.
Fire ran through the attic like a rat chased by a dog. Truck sirens blared, a horn through the fog of our disbelief that what we saw. Run, you said. Get up, get up, get up. Get up out of bed. 2 stories, 10 units, 50 years, lifetimes of history. Gone up in smoke one night on a high desert street. The neighbor has her daughter. I grabbed a guitar and the cat. You were wearing your pajamas and your favorite hat. Everyone got out to safety as glass broke and smoke poured. No one could utter a word or save anymore. 2 stories, 10 units, 50 years, lifetimes of history. Gone up in smoke one night on a high desert street. Now we're staying on the other side of town. You borrowed your brother's truck. I'm wearing my mama's dressing gown. We're still counting on our luck. In the sunset and the waxing moon, the call of the morning dove, trying to put it all behind us and save our love. 2 stories, 10 units, 50 years, lifetimes of history. Gone up in smoke one night on a high desert street. 2 stories, 10 units, 50 years, lifetimes of history. Gone up in smoke one night on a high desert street.
You're listening to Big Blend Radio, and you just heard Fire Song from the brand new and amazing road trip album. I call it a road trip album. That's my thing. It's called Other Desert Cities. It's by Base Station, and it's their 3rd studio album. Check them out at basestationband.com. We've got co-founder Deborah Crooks here with us. Deborah, the fire song to me, it's intimate. it's very real to me, having gone through a number of wildfires and evacuated a bunch, and had a lot of friends who lost their places and have been through that. And you always think, yeah, what are you going to take, And but that's such when you go through those kinds of experiences, it does stay with you for the rest of your life in some way, and you again get more aware. But that song, to me, it's so intimate, and it almost feels like you're sitting in or outside, actually, around a campfire or something like that. Even though it's a fire song, I feel it's so intimate, where you're just sitting in a very calm place, And so it's interesting to me that this album is a studio album, because it has a very live feel to me. When I first listened to it, I listened to the full thing, and then I go back and I listen and listen. My immediate take was like, I feel like I'm sitting in an old bar for some reason, watching you guys play. Like I know those road stop bars, but it's intimate, it's cool. Like you feel like you're in a real small town locals bar that's super cool, and you're like, damn, I'm so glad I found it. That's what it feels like. So, yeah, tell us about recording it. Let's hear about the band. Who's on the album?
Well, I was just going to say, we have played at the Joshua Tree Saloon, which you've probably been to. So
yes, of course.
Speaking of roadside, small town, cool vibe bars. Yeah, actually, we played the night after, because on the album, I should say, it's Kwame Copeland, who is the co-founder of the band with me, and we wrote all the songs together. And then Mike Stevens on drums, and he did the mixing and co-produced it. And then we have Ben Bernstein plays bass on half of it, and Chris Feenstra plays bass on the another, maybe a little less than half. And then Steve Waters, who's the lead guitarist in the band, is playing a lot of lead guitar. And then we have a couple guests and friends. Our friend Michael McNevin played electric on that song you just heard, Fire Song. And then our friend Joan Reuter, who's here in Alameda, she put fiddle on the song you heard earlier, Sleeping Hard, Waking Slow. So, and because we'd written the songs in the desert, I'm like, we got to take the band down to the desert to record. So it's interesting you picked up all the basics were done live. So it does have a live feel, because the guitars and the drums and bass were all played at the same time. And then we just did overdubs as needed. But we recorded the bulk of it at a studio outside of Joshua Tree called Gatos Trail Studio. And that was great, because it was a desert landscape. Joe Wright has this great studio out there, and he, where you walk out of the studio and it's, the beautiful Joshua Tree landscape. And so we did the bulk of the recording there, and then we came home and finished mixing it at Mike's studio in Hayward. So
awesome. That is awesome, because it has that vibe to me, and it's like, you feel like you're in this a small intimate performance, and then you have songs that rock out, and it's like, okay, this is cool. This is what I want to hear and be around. You go out and you want to go hear a band, it's like, okay, you have the big crazy stadium stuff, but there's something about having a really good band in a place that everybody can breathe and be free. That's like I said, going back to that freedom feeling again. So the other thing too, the musicianship is incredible, and you've got slide, you've got some different rhythms, and then you do go even cleanup. That song has, to me, it just feels like that song hit me at home. Like it has kind of a little Johnny Cash vibe in it, and it feels like someone going through change. Tell us about that song.
Well, that's you probably can relate to this, because you've been basically on tour a lot. There's always the coming home after you've been all these places, and how it's good to be home, but it also feels kind of different.
You want to go back out.
You want to go back out. You want to be home, but you're like, things have changed in your town since you've been gone, and then you're ready to go back. You're kind of just getting used to things again, and it's time to go again. So it's kind of about that tension of coming home from all these trips and cleaning up, literally, and how your vehicle gets after you've been in it a long time. I mean, it sounds like
Yeah.
you were touring, so you have stuff and you have snacks and you have, clothing that needs to find a laundry, and so it's just kind of about that whole feeling.
And you end up home with less clothing. That's what happens. Somewhere along the line, something got left somewhere, and it's always the one thing you didn't want to leave somewhere in public. No, I don't know, but it gets out there. That's what I've experienced. Is like clothing goes away unless you're into shopping. But so that part, I understand that. Coming home, I just believe that every time we leave our house and go out somewhere, you have this experience. So there's always a change. You always come home a changed person, and it could be like, okay, I was on the road, now I'm home. And I have to now be like, okay, back to schedules and stuff like that. But you come back a changed person. And I think when we come home, we have this. I know when we came back from being on the road for 3 years, we had to it was like almost this downloading of information that went through our bodies, like almost went through this crazy experience where we slept, and didn't realize how exhausted we were. But all this information was coming through us. Like it was just this. Okay, you need to reflect on everything, and now you need to learn the lesson. That's kind of how I feel about that kind of stuff. Feel that way too? I mean, traveling and being on tour as a band too, that's crazy, fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think every time you go out in the world, you kind of expand a little more, because you have to. And so and like the lesson's always different. I mean, but there's just I think that's why people get the travel bug, because you learn so much and have insights about things and see things that you just couldn't imagine otherwise. So I think I've made your life of that clearly. So definitely, yeah. I mean, it's always something to learn.
Okay, so now I have to ask about Look But Don't Touch, the second song on the album. Okay, because now on the way, and I don't know if it's still there, on the way, if you take Highway 62 from I-10, going from L.A. towards Joshua Tree, and you head towards Morongo Basin, there's an interesting, you've got this beautiful little Morongo Basin, the big canyon, Morongo Basin Canyon Preserve, where you can go in and see birds and walk on this beautiful boardwalk through a wetland, and everything is really cool. But almost across the street, there's this adult entertainment and then a family restaurant right next to it, a family restaurant and an adult entertainment store. And I was thinking, okay, but Look, Don't Touch is also something that you hear about if you go on a hike, especially taking kids. Don't pick up a stick. You don't know if it's a stick. Don't touch the cactus. So you could go that way, or tell us where this song is really originating from.
Well, I think you got it exactly right. We were driving. We had passed through the Morongo Basin, and we were coming through Yucca Valley. And there was a woman waving. The first line of the song is literally, that's what we saw: a woman waving a sign for a XXX store. So then,
okay, so it is that one, that corner.
Yes.
That door is like,
yes.
Wow, next to the family restaurant.
Yes. Yep. And so again, since that we were there to write, what I just imagined made up an imagined life for this person, and and just what it could have, what it might have been, how that would be to survive that way, and also, I mean, I think I didn't think of it literally the way you did about Look But Don't Touch, but that may have come into it, and just how you can be in this beautiful, beautiful place, and humans are fascinating creatures. People are all living these different ways, and and maybe not to assume anything too, and just to write from the perspective of someone making a living that way. I mean, I have that, like I said, it's a fictional character in the end, but that was the leaping off place. You were correct.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Because that's so funny, because we drive down there, and I used to always really drive through the park, because I love the park, and then in summertime you see bighorn sheep in certain areas coming down for water, and there's just this magical thing. But then every time I went down that, I was like going, really, that's the entrance to this region. Like, welcome to Joshua Tree.
Right.
The general, welcome to our hood. She looks friendly, but I used to always crack up about that. So when I was here, I was like, that's funny. That is so funny. So Baja Blues sneaks in here too, which I find interesting because we used to live in Ensenada, and so I was like, and so you're talking about the borderlands, and there's like that whole. I mean, I think we've always lived on the border somewhere. There's something very cool, and we had a very when we lived out there. It wasn't that long, but we would go back and forth to see a dear friend who's since passed, and it's like every time of anything we see anything of Mexico, like my heart and my mom's heart, Nancy's heart, we just are like, where's the Commodore? Because he was the Commodore of the yacht club, and to be in the yacht club, you had either you have to own a yacht, been on a yacht, seen a yacht, or know somebody who's seen a yacht. That's what the yacht club is like. It's a drinking club over there, pretty much. I don't think it's in existence anymore, but it's a little expat community over there. But so to me, it was like that song it touched every part of that, missing of somebody. For me, that's my own personal thing, having been there. So did you go over the borders? What I want to know.
No, I mean, that's what's funny that I love this because that's a fiction, definitely, and we wrote it because we were in this contest to write a song in 2 days, and you were given an influence on the first day, and the influence they gave us was Jimmy Buffett. So Jimmy Buffett, of course, writes about, Florida Keys and has a lot of drinking songs. So since we were immersed in the desert in the Southwest, but we didn't get to Baja yet, we wrote this song and kind of riffed off of a drinking song, drinking Coronas.
I knew the yacht club was involved. That's crazy.
Right. But we do have,
funny.
Like I said, it's the Alameda connection with the boat friendliness. So,
oh, see, there we go. That's it, right? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Wow. How funny is that? Because, when we were there, actually the yacht club, we had a band in San Diego when we lived out there, and
fun.
That was our first gig was for the yacht club, and
fun.
Then when we came back over the border, and that was interesting to now suddenly just go on the road from San Diego to Ensenada with a band, but cross the border, and then come back, and one gets arrested, and then we find the other one probably should have, and like that whole that changed things, and I could write a book about the band. But,
I hope you do.
It was crazy, but that's so funny about this, the connections on this. Okay, I know we're going to play Bay Station Wiggle. I'm excited about this because you do just want to shake your booty. You do, and that's just one of the. It's very. You've got some. You tend to, like, your music goes back into certain places of time and brings it to the forefront, like you're carrying a torch for certain styles or just but in this, like, just just a little bit of it. You have your own sound. I mean, and I love it. It's just immediately as you start playing, you're like, oh, this is so cool. But you have like that song obviously, and like I was saying, Cleanup has a little Johnny Cash to me, and this one definitely little Chuck Berry, But there's that vibe, and it's like it reminds us again that freedom of having some fun.
Definitely, and that was written. That goes with the road trip because when you're on the road a lot, when you get to the rest stop, I'd get out and I'm like, I gotta wiggle because you've been sitting so long in the car. And then we kind of wrote Wiggle as almost not seriously, and then we played it at a party, and people like the Wiggle, so the Wiggle lives.
The Wiggle rocks.
And
I love the Wiggle.
Oh, I'm so glad, and it's great because of course we have two really good guitar players in the band, so they can just go to town, and it's a lot of fun.
The instrumentation to me is amazing. And I love the slide parts, and then all of a sudden, Everybody's Business. I love that song so much because there's just these nuances that come in, and the finger picking in that. There's just these really, the guitar pieces are just incredible. I was going to ask
Oh.
in before we play this and go. Okay, so I want to know, like, the band is going to perform a house party. You're going to invite 3 people over, and you're going to play the songs from the album.
Mhm.
So you're going to have a house party. So
Okay.
we want to know, like, yeah, and so they're coming over to visit you in Alameda, okay? Because they want to go to an island. So they're coming over to Alameda. Can they drive over? I just got to make sure. Like,
yes,
if you take a
yes,
ferry.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
they
you
can drive
both.
over.
You can just
So we want to know the 3 people that you're going to invite to this house party that you're going to perform, the entire album. They could be alive or passed on. It could be fictional. It don't matter. 3 people that you're going to invite to the party. But we also want to know what you're going to serve. we want the menu.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, nice.
Well,
I should tell you this beforehand, but no.
that's all
doesn't
right.
work
This
that
is
way.
good. I mean, well, I'm going to probably stick with musicians because we'd want to jam with them after.
Cool.
So,
Right
so
on.
we'd probably invite Tom Petty, who works
Nice.
all morning because he's the coolest, And
He is,
then
yeah.
I think gosh, this is hard. I think
I
we'll stick
want
with people.
Tom Petty there too. Like, he would
Yeah,
dig this
then
album.
you can.
It's got a lot of
Yeah, and then
Pettyism is in there. Like, it's cool. It's cool. I think you'd love
and then gosh, this is so hard. I'm a big Lucinda Williams fan, so I'd want her to like say,
Ooh.
like I said, we'd all want to jam after.
Oh my God! Could you imagine this? This is the coolest. Just Tom Petty and Lucinda being in the same room. Could you imagine? And then you guys getting to jam with them? Hell yes.
No, but
yes.
there's a good dream, and she's still alive, so who knows? But and then, gosh, it's kind of a toss-up between maybe Bob Dylan because he'd get along with it. He knows those people, and he's everybody. Kwame, of
Can't
course.
You just invite the traveling
huge...
Wilburys? Like the whole
That would be good.
crew.
Why don't we do that? Well, you said 3 people.
Just
so if they
all
invite their friends, we're in good shape. And then
okay.
what we'd serve, there'd probably be.
Now it's changed because now you have a full-on party. Like,
Yeah.
You've got
so
Roy Orbison there.
Well, we'd probably serve some IPA from one of the local brew pubs, and for drinks, and then we'd have water for people who don't want, whatever, non-alcoholic beverages. And then we're talking about a whole dinner or just like snacks. What are we doing?
Well,
I always have pie.
It's up to you.
We make pie. I really like pie. That's good comfort food. And that's road food too. I like to find a piece of pie on the road, at a diner. So we'd have pie, and then probably for real food. Well, since there's a lot of people, and I want to play and not cook. I'd probably there's a taqueria across the street.
Sweet, that's perfect.
That's really
tacos
good.
And beer.
So beer, tacos, and some pie for dessert.
Okay, I love that. This is cool. This is so cool. I want to go to your party. Just like when I sit there and I'll film everything. I love it. And I love your album. Everyone, again, it's called Other Desert Cities. Go to basestationband.com. They're on Facebook as well. I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor for today's episode, which is the National Parks Arts Foundation. We love them. They create unique artist-in-residence programs within national park units all around the country, from the dry tortugas out in Florida on those remote islands to Hawaii's volcanoes. I mean, could you imagine staying for a month as a musician, an author, a poet, a filmmaker, a writer, whatever you do for a full month in a national park? It's incredible. So check it out at nationalparksartsfoundation.org. And I think you need to go and apply for that, Deborah. I'm just saying while you're on the show.
I know, it sounds perfect.
I know. You're doing writing retreats. You could go to all these different parks, Death Valley, you name it, they have it. And we love what they do. It's an important piece, and that's how our national parks got started. It all started with a painting. So there you go. Everybody, don't forget, Big Blend Radio airs Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and Friday and Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much, Deborah. It's been a true pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it, and I definitely want to take the show on the road and come have that party in your neighborhood.
Okay, cool. We have tacos and we have beer and margaritas. So yeah. Are you going to be doing that? I mean, with this album coming out, that's a really good thing to point out, because I know.
Yeah, we're
been
happy
on your
to
site.
tour. Yeah,
Go ahead.
we're working on some dates. If it doesn't happen this year, it'll be in 2019, spring 2019.
Well, keep us posted. You come out this way, we'll come see you, and just keep us posted to everyone. You can follow them on Facebook as well, and also BayStationBand.com. They put their gigs up there. And now we're going to do some boom shaka boom. Are you ready for some boom shaka boom?
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Here it is, everybody. Bay Station Wiggle. Wiggle. We call it Wiggy, by the way, because that's the first cocktail you have of the day. You take a sip, it goes down your spine, and then you shake your butt. So when I saw Bay Station Wiggle, I'm like, dude, this has got to be like our happy hour song. It should be our theme song. So here it is, everyone. Bay Station Wiggle. Get your wiggy out and enjoy. Shake it.